Hello and welcome to Hispanic Agenda. I'm Alejandro Negron. This is Washington's only bilingual news program. Thank you for watching. On the agenda today, as new candidates join the race, the 2016 presidential campaign heats up. And one issue sure to spark a heated debate is immigration. Republican presidential hopeful Marco Rubio told NPR he's done much more than Hillary Clinton ever has on the issue. Is that true? How has Spanish language and Latino targeted media covered the first week of these two campaigns? Just a few of the topics that we'll get into with this week's roundtable. Cristian Ramos from Media Matters joins us. Also Alberto Avendaño, the editor-in-chief of El Tiempo Latino, and John Gonzalez from ABC 7 News. El Tiempo Latino, the Spanish language publication of the Washington Post. I always want to make sure that we say that. So let's do this comparison between Marco Rubio and Hillary Clinton on the issue of immigration, an issue that surely will be very important in the 2016 presidential campaign. Cristian, I'll start with you. How do you think these two candidates stack up?
Well, I'm really glad that Marco Rubio has brought up his time working in the Senate on the immigration bill. He had a real opportunity to show leadership. He did pass legislation that had a pathway to citizenship, but as soon as it went over to the House and House Republicans said, no way on this, we're not going to do it, he folded quite simply, like a cheap suit. And now you see where he is now today, which is he wants a path to legal status. He wants a lot of border security. And, you know, to be quite honest, English language media, I think, has kind of given him a pass on this. Spanish language media has done a much better job of clearly defining exactly where Marco Rubio is. And that's not with the community. He's against DACA. He's against DAPA. He's against the ACA. He's against climate change. He's
But you would say that Marco Rubio is against the Hispanic community?
Well, in terms of policies, you're right. I should take a step back.
Okay.
Just purely based on what we've seen in the media and the comments that he's given, he has very firmly stated that he is against DACA. He's against DAPA. He's against the Affordable Care Act, which benefits Latinos. He does not believe in climate change. He doesn't believe that we should pass legislation to deal with that. And he's against raising the minimum wage. Those are all critical issues that help
for the
Latino
Hispanic community.
Yeah, I mean, there are issues, yes, there are issues that are going to be complicated for him in what is called the cultural war, or all these kind of issues in the United States, where religion and social issues are involved and cultural issues are involved. He's going to have a problem. But he also knows, and he said it, that his last name is not going to make it happen. And that's an interesting statement. On the other hand, he's not immigration friendly, as Spanish language media understand that statement, that concept. But the Clinton brand is what it is fascinating.
When you say how Spanish language media understands that concept, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that when you listen to or watch Spanish language media, immigration is something extremely flat, homogeneous, black and white.
You either support it or you don't.
Yes, and then there are no nuances, no idiosyncrasies, and no political broader views, which some
no
of
shades
these,
of gray, is black or white.
Which some of these Republican candidates might bring to the table. And in the past, we have seen Republican presidents really being very proactive and very positive in the immigration issue. So my fascination right now is with the Clinton brand, because the Clinton brand is very positive among the Hispanic voter. On the other hand, if you analyze President Clinton administration, he built walls in the border. He passed laws backed by Republicans.
Pushed by Republicans.
Backed, I would say, by the Republican Party, which were very, very hostile.
Talking about that, John, Brent Wilkes, the National Executive Director for the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, also mentioned that we can't give Hillary Clinton, he says, and this is a group that backs Obamacare and other initiatives of the Democratic Party, and he basically says, look, her husband, Bill Clinton, passed some of the worst immigration laws, or signed into law some of the worst immigration laws. Is that fair?
I was just going to say, let's not give Hillary a free pass here. Yeah, Marco Rubio was initially signed on to the Gang of Eight Senate bill, and then he changed his mind, as Cristian mentioned. But if you look at Hillary's track record, she hasn't been a big advocate of immigration. I mean, she was against much of the DREAM Act. She was trying to sign bills against the DREAM Act early on, and now she's coming out and speaking for immigration. But you kind of wonder if that's smoke and mirrors at this point.
She
Because
did
I don't
vote in
think either- I
favor
don't
of the
think either have been.
2007 immigration bill that eventually died in the Senate.
did, yeah.
George W. Bush's bill, but eventually died in the Senate.
But I
Christian.
think, again, it's important to contrast here. Look, Hillary Clinton's campaign just came out. I can't speak for that campaign, and I can only speak for what we've seen in the media in the past on Hillary Clinton, but she's been a proponent for a pathway to citizenship. She's been a proponent for the Affordable Care Act. She's been a proponent for all of these issues that are critically important to Latinos.
Right.
And I think you can't discount that when you're having a side-by-side comparison on these candidates and what they say in the media.
All right, I want to thank you all. We'll continue with our roundtable. We're going to switch topics, and this is a conversation that will continue here on Hispanic Agenda. When we come back, the Florida doctor charged in a political corruption case, along with New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez, was indicted on 76 counts of Medicare fraud, and President Obama moves forward on removing Cuba from the list of states sponsors of terrorism. Those are the next items on Hispanic Agenda. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. I'm Alejandro Negron. Next item on the agenda, things are getting even more complicated for Senator Bob Menendez. The New Jersey senator was charged in a political corruption case stemming from his relationship with a Florida doctor. Dr. Salomon Melgen was indicted on Tuesday with 76 counts of Medicare fraud. These are new charges. John Gonzalez, I'll start with you. If you can kind of give us a rundown of...
It's a big political scandal. You're talking about corruption of the highest kind. You have a doctor from Florida who, again, 76 counts of Medicare fraud involved in that, 46 counts directly toward health care. This guy could end up going to jail for 600 plus years. I mean,
totaling
that could be
$190 million.
$190 million. And the big question here is, how involved is Senator Menendez? You have a situation where people are reporting that he provided visas to girlfriends. I mean, this is scandalous stuff.
Now
to
we should
girlfriends of the doctors.
clear up that these are two different cases. One is a political corruption case, and then the Medicare case is just the doctor.
Right.
Thank you,
Menendez is not
because to disagree
involved.
with my good friend, I'm not at all feeling a scandal inside myself. I think that here we have...
I don't know what that means.
Well, what that means is that the scandal concept and putting together then a prominent senator who is Hispanic, and I'm really biased about that. This is for the record. Trying to tell us that there is a quid pro quo, trying to tell us that what a donor does with a politician in this specific case is worse or illegal or more illegal or worse than what is already happening in Congress, I think it's a little disturbing.
And I was reading your op-ed about this on El Tiempo Latino, and you have it there. People should definitely read it. It's in Spanish and English, in which basically very critical of those who are criticizing Senator Menendez and basically calling them hypocrites.
No,
what
I'm saying is that there is the political environment in this land that we need to analyze. When large corporations influence Congress, and then certain legislations pass, and then they donate to both parties, can we start talking about quid pro quos? Can we start talking about selling and buying?
Basically, you're saying these campaigns receive money, and they receive that money because whoever's giving the money wants access.
So my point with this
and that's
case,
what this doctor got from Senator Menendez.
Is, was Senator Menendez imprudent? Obviously. Was he committing an illegal act? Let the courts decide. Why are we crucifying somebody? Yes, he has dangerous liaisons. He has friends that I wouldn't have in my house. I wouldn't jump in the plane of that guy either.
But there's that Spanish saying, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres.
Well,
tell me who you hang around with and I'll tell you who you are.
That happens to politicians all the time, and they are not in jail, they are not indicted, they are not killed politically.
The Virginia governor is.
I think this senator being politically assassinated, let the courts decide, and let's see where is the quid pro quo. Right. And then let's check the broader spectrum of politics in this land.
Now, Christian, how do you feel about this case with Senator Menendez? I know you agree that the senator is a very important figure inside of the world of politics and for Hispanics in the country.
I think there's a couple of dynamics here. One, Senator Menendez has long been a champion for the Latino community and issues that are important to Latinos. And I think really what is interesting, and we were talking about this earlier off camera, the real problem here is, you know, Senator Menendez, I think he's going to go through this process, and whatever happens, happens. But, you know, where the next generation of Latino leaders going to come in here?
That's a good point.
If you lose somebody like Senator Menendez, who's going to step up in the Senate and take his place? Look, right now, the leaders in the Senate for
There's not that many Latinos inside the Senate.
Well, it would be Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and as we were talking about in the last segment, those guys don't necessarily have the Latino community at heart in terms of the policies that they're endorsing and how those hurt our community. So you need a counterbalance out there to have those conversations and to really fight for those things like the Affordable Care Act or climate change or you know, issues that are important to Latinos.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my points is about this issue is
We have 10
that
seconds. Go ahead.
Is the Menendez lesson that if you are a Latino politician in this land, you have to be twice as careful and 3 times as, you know, just checking around what's going on?
All right, definitely we'll continue to talk about this issue as well. I think it's very important. Thank you so much, Roundtable, John Gonzalez, Alberto Avendaño, and Christian Ramos. First time on the show. Hope it's not the last one. All right, when we return, immigration reform activists vow to fight for President Obama's executive actions on immigration. These were put on hold by a Texas judge, as you know. We'll check in on their efforts when we come back. Hispanic Agenda continues. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. I'm Alejandro Negron. The president's executive actions on immigration, offering deportation relief for millions of undocumented immigrants, have been put on hold by a Texas judge. You know that. But immigration reform advocates are not sitting still while the issue is resolved. A major meeting of lawmakers and activists who support deportation relief took place at Casa de Maryland, and George Escobar joins us now to talk about their plans to protect the undocumented. George, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You guys have been very busy, although the president's actions on immigration have been suspended. You guys continue to talk to folks, to the undocumented, to train them, to get them to get the documents that they need in order. You guys are acting as if that judge didn't rule against the executive actions.
Oh, absolutely. And I think our strategy has been to continue to prepare the community for implementation. And we keep assuring people that implementation will happen. It's difficult right now in terms of giving them a specific date because of the injunction. But we know that the legal grounds for the injunction are very weak and that will eventually be overturned by the Fifth Circuit Court. In which
so you're confident that the Fifth Circuit will overturn this decision by the Texas judge? And if that were to happen, how quickly could folks start applying, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. We know that on the DHS end, at the Department of Homeland Security, we know they've already had nearly 5 months of preparation to get ready for this, even before the injunction took place. So when we hear word back from the Fifth Circuit, we could see implementation taking place within a month's time of that. And so it's essential to really have people prepared to apply. There's a number of documents that they have to prepare. So we need to motivate people. We need to let them understand what's going on in the courts. I think it's also a really good opportunity to engage folks in these orientation sessions on the judicial process in general. And
have you seen the numbers come down of folks showing up to these training sessions?
Absolutely. In terms, when we initially started these orientation sessions, of course, we would have upwards of 500 people at each orientation session, and we're talking about late November, December, right? Now the numbers are a little bit lower in terms of 100 people, but we've been fortunate to have the partnership of a lot of political leadership in Maryland. Steny Hoyer appeared last night with us with Luis Gutierrez and Donna Edwards.
This is the major event that we were referring to.
Absolutely.
A lot of big heavyweights in there.
A lot of big heavyweights. We had over 500 people show up for the series of meetings. We had a little services fair where we were helping people, help community members orient themselves on DAPA itself and how they could prepare. We followed that up with a roundtable discussion with some immigrant advocates that we had in close conversations with Steny Hoyer, with the political leadership of Maryland. Donna Edwards was there, Glenn Ivey as well, standing side by side Luis Gutierrez as a major champion of immigration reform.
Absolutely.
It was a beautiful moment in which many people came out.
So the community is still fired up.
Oh, absolutely.
And you want to continue to keep them motivated so that they're ready in case the Fifth Circuit goes ahead and overturns this decision by the Texas
No,
judge.
absolutely. And as I said before, I think it's a great opportunity as well to educate our community about the judicial system, about the judicial process,
Sure.
and remind them that it was a fight to get here. The president, of course, backed us and declared DAPA on November 20th, but he was forced to do that because of the power of the community. So we still have to defend this victory. This was a message that we put out there from the beginning. We must defend this victory and not rest until we expand this to the 11 million that are out there in this country.
Through another executive order or in comprehensive immigration
Well,
reform?
we knew from the beginning this was a limited victory. DAPA was going to be a limited victory, only supporting those parents of undocumented parents of citizen children, right? There were still going to be 5 million people out, those people that did not have those citizen children, right? So from the beginning, the battle wasn't won just with DAPA. So it's important to...
It continues.
It, of course, continues until we have comprehensive immigration.
We'll hope to have you back and keep updating us on everything that's happening. Thank you so much,
course.
George
Thank you.
Escobar from Casa, Maryland. When we return, we'll continue with the issue of immigration as we get an update on the unaccompanied migrant children that crossed the border last summer, fleeing the violence in Central America. Stay with Hispanic Agenda. Welcome back to Hispanic Agenda. I'm Alejandro Negron. The D.C., Maryland, and Virginia Coalition in support of children fleeing violence in Central America released a report highlighting the challenges, promising practices, and recommendations, and some of the next steps necessary or identified during a recent summit of the migrant children crisis. Abel Núñez is the executive director of Carecen, a member of this coalition. Abel, it's a pleasure to have you back on the program. We've been following the child migrant crisis pretty much since it started, since we saw the numbers jump up February of last year.
Correct.
I believe. So how are the children now? Give us a basic understanding of this report and what needs to be done to tackle this issue, which is still very much an important one in our community and for every community.
Yes, exactly. So what we have to remember is that when we saw the news coverage last year around the border, all of those kids have now been reunited with families in communities. In the D.C. area, which has a significant large Central American community, there has been over 7,000 children that have been placed here. They're now attending our schools, accessing health care benefits, but the system is being overwhelmed by the children. Legal representation is still a huge issue, but the reality is that these children will be in our communities and will continue to be in our communities while they're going through the legal process. And so counselors...
And the legal process is pretty backed up.
Exactly.
Correct? So these cases will be seen years from now.
Exactly. And you have...
So we have to deal with the fact that they're here.
We have to deal with the fact they're here. And you have children that come with trauma because of the trip to the U.S. or trauma because of the violence that they were fleeing. And
so in the report, what would you say is the major issue of, I know there are many, but which would you say is the major issue facing the children? And facing organizations such as yours, trying to help these children.
Yeah, exactly. As practitioners, I think that they're getting overwhelmed, and I think municipalities need to understand that they need to provide additional resources to deal with the crisis around language access and around cultural competencies, because we do not have enough practitioners that have those capabilities to deal with the issues that these children are doing. And so what is going to happen that they won't have an appropriate integration into the new community.
So you don't only want them to see a psychologist, but one that understands that culture.
Exactly.
And that has that cultural awareness.
Exactly. So you have to remember that the majority of these children are coming from 3 nations, and they are El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. So it's a regional crisis, and we need people that are versed in that community and the historical context of their migration to this country. So I think that
for people who are interested in helping out, how can they reach organizations like yours, donate their time? You're looking for lawyers, you're looking for doctors, you're looking for psychologists, therapists. What are you looking for? What do you need?
Everything
Check,
you
check,
mentioned.
check.
Check, exactly. And the reality is that we need people that have those cultural competencies that can work with these families.
You need translators.
We need everything because their organizations are being overwhelmed. Remember, this is not happening in all municipalities across the country. They're happening in municipalities that have a historical, large communities of Central Americans.
In Washington, D.C.
In Washington,
is
D.C. is
absolutely one of them. And I know we only have 20 seconds to go. You also want to let me know that there are estimates that suggest that we're going to see a similar uptick in the kids coming by themselves this coming summer.
Exactly. So this is not a one-time aberration that happened last year, but it will continue to come, and at least 40%. It won't be the numbers that we saw last year, but it will continue to come, and that will repeat every year, at least for the next 5 to 10 years.
All right. Abel Nunez, thank you so much for the report. Please go to www.carecen.org.
CarecenDC.org.
CarecenDC.org if you want to donate your time or even money or professional services.
And there will be copies of the report in our website as well.
And I have it here. All right. Abel Nunez, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Please check out our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Tune into Telemundo Washington for the Spanish version of this program. And be sure to join us again next week here on News Channel 8. Have a great weekend, and thank you for watching.